Taylor Swift, Denzel Washington, and a ton of Paramount news. Paramount seems to be doing all the right things these days. Let's get into it. Before we do, my producer, Nat.
Hello.
We do have another channel in Spanish called Nat and the Guy in Espanol. So if you are a Spanish speaker, check that out. And we had a video come out on there yesterday about BYD and the dangers of it that will be coming out on this English channel probably tomorrow?
Yes.
And I made the thumbnail for the English one. And it has Xi Jinping as Winnie the Pooh. So I'm excited about that. Every time I think I make a good thumbnail, it seems to do bad. But let's see if people like it. Okay, let's get into Taylor Swift.
And Rafa says, hello, long time no see. Hello, Rafa. Thank you for being here. And also in tonight's Spanish stream, if you want to ask us any questions, there's a question box on our Instagram. So you can go over there because we're celebrating 10,000 subscribers.
Nobody's even on our Instagram.
That's why I'm trying to get people to go over there.
Why can't they just ask questions on the show?
I mean, they can too, but I kind of want to have them see how many people actually.
I'm willing to bet 0 people ask questions from the Instagram. And
no, we've already had a few.
Oh, we have?
Yeah, Rafa asked some.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Thank you, Rafa.
Well, we have one fan, and that's Rafa. So.
No, we have Walker. And thank you to all the 10,000 subscribers in the Spanish one.
Okay, let's get into Taylor Swift and the New Heights podcast. And when I read the headline, I was like, is this her podcast? I knew we had talked about a podcast. That was her boyfriend's podcast.
Yes.
So not her podcast. So don't be fooled by the headline.
With his brother. So from Variety, Taylor Swift's New Heights podcast earns 13 million YouTube views in 24 hours as she unveils the life of a showgirl.
Yeah, when you read it, it kind of reads as Taylor Swift's new podcast. So I think a lot of people that read the headline are probably going to check it on YouTube. I watched maybe like 5-10 minutes just before the show, and man, they're annoying.
Yes.
God, and they have a co-host as well that's just yelling and loud the entire time. Not my style, but probably a lot of young females are watching it just for Taylor Swift because I was looking at their previous ratings. They got okay ratings, anywhere from 30,000 to 100,000 views per episode. But on the Taylor Swift episode, again, millions of people are pouring in. Are those going to be continuous subscribers or watchers? I don't think so. They might give it a subscribe and never watch it again. Okay, let's get into the article just a little bit.
Taylor Swift's New Heights show podcast episode earned 13 million YouTube views in 24 hours during the August 13 episode of the New Heights show, co-hosted by her boyfriend Travis Kelce and his brother Jason.
Oh, that's his brother.
That's his brother. I said that was his brother.
I didn't know.
Swift revealed that her new album, The Life of a Showgirl, will be released on October 3rd. She also unveiled the cover art and a track list that features Sabrina Carpenter on the title song.
Okay, let's keep going. Is there anything more? Because this is the cover story I put on the thumbnail. So
Swift explained that The Life of a Showgirl was inspired by the joy that being on the Eras tour brought her. This album is about what was going on behind the scenes in my inner life during this tour, which was so exuberant and electric and vibrant, she said.
Yeah, and stuff like this just doesn't work. There's a certain point where people go from normal people to superstars. She's been in that realm for a long time, but then they can't relate to normal people anymore. And all of her previous songs are about breakups, this and that. So yeah, people can relate to that subject matter, but just the subject matter alone puts you in a kind of an elitist class, and people aren't going to be able to really connect with the album in the same way. They may like some songs, but it's not the same kind of connection you would have with when you're an up and coming emerging artist.
I mean, she does try to be really nice to her fans, and that's why they really like her. Just as with Beyonce, and maybe I guess most pop stars after Britney and Christina and all of that.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about being nice to your fans. Nobody cares if you're nice to the fans. I'm talking about the relatability of the music. This is going to be completely unrelatable. How many people are superstars on tour and actually want to know about that? If they do want to know about that, they don't want to hear about it through music. They'll watch a behind the scenes special on a concert on Netflix or something like that, or on YouTube.
I don't think you get her fans because they're obsessive. So I mean, that's anything she puts out. She could put an album out of from her farts, and everybody.
No, but this is the thing. This is kind of also the thing I'm saying. Yeah, she has fans. They're going to start aging out, and she needs to connect to a new audience. It's hard to connect to a new audience when you're putting elitist music out there. But
that's why she's bringing on Sabrina Carpenter. For the first song.
I have no idea who Sabrina Carpenter is.
She's, I'm guessing, the most famous pop star right now.
When you say Sabrina Carpenter, my head goes to Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
But she's big. I told you about her song Espresso, but you don't. I tried to explain to him what happened, but
okay, let's read a little bit more just for the Taylor Swift fans that have tuned in today.
Swift's live streamed appearance on the New Heights podcast caused the stream to crash about an hour and 44 minutes into the episode, though fans could continue to watch on other platforms, including Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and Usery. The viewer count for the YouTube stream reached as high as 1.3 million at the time it cut out.
Okay, I will kind of say this, like she is in music now. Eventually she probably will make a transition if she ever does become a mother, maybe marrying Travis Kelce. If that does happen, I could see her moving more into the Meghan Markle space. I think she would actually be very successful in that Meghan Markle space, which I don't think Meghan Markle is. Somehow Meghan renewed her Netflix contract. I don't know if she just signed for a dirt cheap rate because she didn't want to be seen as blacklisted. But I think Taylor Swift could potentially do good in that space, and it is much more connectable to an audience than...
But the thing is, Swift has always said and continues to say that she's very private about her own life and doesn't want to... I mean, she invites her fans that win contests or whatever to her house, but she wants to keep it... Like, she wants to pretend to be living in a different era, like the Eras Tour. But I don't think she'd do that.
I bet you
especially because the Travis Kelce relationship is obviously very fake.
Well, I bet you she does, and I bet you she's gonna have home cooking shows, all these kind of things, and she's still fairly young. That's the thing. She's not in her 40s yet.
Almost.
How?
35 or 36?
Yeah, so she's still in the prime for musicians. Musicians are going until about 40, and then you'll see a transition there. And the ones that can't transition, don't transition, is because they can't transition. There's nothing to transition to. She has set up a fan base where she can transition into other things. Okay, let's go into... I'm surprised she hasn't done movies. Has she done any movies yet?
I don't think so.
Maybe she just doesn't have time.
Not that I can remember. I mean, I know she's done tour documentaries and stuff, but I haven't really kept up. But I don't... She's maybe appeared in something, but...
Okay, let's keep going with this.
With Tortured Poets Department, I was like, there's a data dump of everything I thought, felt, experienced in 2 or 3 years. Here's 31 songs. This is 12, she said. There's not a 13th. There's not other ones coming. This is a record I've been wanting to make for a very long time. I wanted it to be every single song on this album for hundreds of reasons, and you couldn't take one out or it would be the same album. You couldn't add one. It's just right.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of an old dying model. Yeah, it can work for her because she's top of the heap as far as singers and songwriters go, things like this. But I think doing one-off songs, having them release one at a time with a music video, much like Tom McDonald does in an independent space. And then once you have 12 or 13 songs released independently, each one gaining mass exposure, put those together, and then you have an album rather than releasing 12 songs all at once on an album.
Well, she is still working with the very old model and system and creating hype around her new album.
And the people that are around her, exposing her to different medias and her career. It's a dated model, I think, but it works for her because it will work. The dated model will work for the people that are absolute megastars, but for the majority of people, if they try to use that same model breaking into the music industry, I don't think it works. I think, people like Tom McDonald and other independent creators that are using YouTube first, that is the new model.
And I understand the connection she's built with her fans and etc. But if there's any... I mean, I'm not a hater. I don't hate her. I just don't get it. With Beyonce, I really don't like her. She annoys me as a person. But with Swift, I just don't get it. I don't get the hype. So if there's any fans out there, please write it in the comments why you like her so much.
And for me, she was kind of whatever. I didn't pay too much attention to her. Yeah, obviously you know who Taylor Swift is because she's a megastar. But for me, her songs when it would play casually a long time ago, they were a lot better than the stuff I think she is putting out now. But her boyfriend, this Travis Kelce, I absolutely hate him, and I hate him because of the Jibby Jab era and all the commercials he was doing, just blatant propaganda, and he never really addressed that in the long term. So, okay.
And now
which kind of makes me think he's a true believer and she is a true believer of that era.
And her whole supporting Kamala Harris and changing politically. I mean, her family, she came from a more conservative background, but then she completely tried a 180 during these past elections. She had kept kind of out of politics, but when she did that too, I don't know. I think it would have been better for her to just stay quiet.
Well, I do think there are major political undertones to Taylor Swift and pumping her up. And around election season, the last time Donald Trump got out ahead of it and kind of shut the whole thing down because he kind of seen what was coming. In the next election, I think they're going to try to do the same thing. Okay, let's go into Denzel Washington.
But first, Rafa says...
Yep.
Rafa says, I'm going to spam Nat's BYD video with comments since I'm a lot into cars and there's a lot to say. Thank you. And if there's anything you want to correct or think is wrong, also please.
Yeah.
Always open to every comment. But
okay,
Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
From Deadline.
Well, let's go into Denzel Washington. And I really do like Denzel Washington. I always have. He does keep his private life private. Although I don't think his son can act not on the level he can anyway. I don't think his son should be in starring roles. I have no problem in supporting roles. I think he's at a supporting role level. Denzel Washington also let his son start picking his roles at one point. I don't think he is anymore, but there was a series of action movies that just weren't that good, and those were his son's selections.
From Deadline, Denzel Washington is not that interested in Oscars after winning 2.
Yeah, and he's a very private individual, and I think he's achieved everything he wants to achieve and got everything he's wanting to have. Let's go a little bit into the article. I could see him definitely going more into producer, directing, maybe even starting in his own company. I would like to see him in those roles. He's very respectable in Hollywood, not just for a black actor, but for any actor. And the fact that he hasn't won more Oscars is kind of surprising.
Despite having 2 of his own and the potential for another, Denzel Washington isn't concerned with the Academy Awards. The actor, whose Spike Lee joined Heights 2 Lowest, premieres August 15th today in theaters and August 22nd on Apple TV+, recently admitted he's not that interested in Oscars after a nearly 50-year screen and stage career.
Yeah, and he is fairly private, but if you ask him a blunt question, he'll give you a blunt answer, and that's what I respect. And I don't always like all of his opinions, but even when I don't like him, I like the fact that he speaks honestly and bluntly, and that's what can really create a connection. And that's why YouTubers are starting to come out a lot more than Hollywood stars that always have these manufactured answers and everything else is just a little bit too much.
He said, I've been at this a long time, and there's times when I've won, shouldn't have won, didn't win, should have won. He said on Jake's Takes, man gives the award, God gives the award.
It was also very interesting how he came up in an era like, what were the actors I was talking about before, of like Brad Pitt, and where they appealed to a female audience first, and then they went after a male audience later in their career. Then they had both demographics. He never went overly political, so he could appeal to the maximum user base. He's actually been interviewed in the past, and when he went after a female audience, he specifically went after a black female audience. He refused to kiss Julia Roberts in their one movie just because he didn't want to piss off his original audience that he intentionally curated with his role selection. So he's very aware of the roles he has selected. Later on in his career, I think he's done projects that more appeal to him or his family.
Do you want me to keep reading?
Than trying to curate an audience. Yeah, let's read a little bit more.
Washington added, I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. On my last day, it ain't gonna do me a bit of good. The comment comes after Washington won Best Supporting Actor for Glory in 1990 and Best Actor for Training Day in 2002, in addition to nominations for Cry Freedom, Malcolm X, The Hurricane, Flight, Fences, Roman J. Russell Esquire, and The Tragedy of Macbeth.
And this is kind of why I would like to see him invest a lot of money into a studio and do the projects that he wants. His family's also in acting and in the business. So if he's not interested in Oscars, he says, what is that really going to do for me? Creating a legacy through actually having maybe a movie studio that he can pass on to his family and his sons, because what else is he going to pass on? Just a bunch of money and a reputation. Like, open a studio, involve your family, involve your connections that you do have. He has developed in-depth connections where people really trust him in Hollywood, like Spike Lee. Okay, let's go into Jason.
And with Denzel Washington, there's this, who's receiving an honorary award or some kind of appreciation from the industry. And Chadwick Boseman actually gave the speech before he came up to accept the award. And he was really sick, you could tell. But the way he spoke about Denzel, I think, really says a lot especially in that industry.
He's very respected, and a lot of that has to do with treading his own path and his own course. As soon as he had enough star power, he really stood up and did the things that he wanted to do. That being said, I was disappointed in Gladiator. I just didn't think he fit the role, and there's most role that he can fit a lot of roles. That role he just did not fit very well, and it was because of maybe he had a strong American accent, and especially in a historical piece, it just didn't kind of fit. Okay, let's go into Jason Bourne here. And I believe this was a Paramount pickup. I can't remember.
Universal. So from the Hollywood Reporter, Universal picks up Jason Bourne, Treadstone rights in perpetuity. The screen rights to the Robert Ludlum spy books will make the studio their forever home.
Okay, and we'll see if they can get Matt Damon to do another one of these. They really need him to do probably one or two more of these to pass the series on into somebody. So did they already try to pass it on to the gentleman that got injured with the snowblower?
Yes.
What was his name? Oh, I can't remember. He played...
Hawkeye.
Yeah, he played Hawkeye.
Oh my God.
Jeremy Renner.
There you go.
So yeah, they tried to pass it on to Jeremy Renner. I don't know if that worked. Did they bring Matt Damon back at any point? They kind of need to bring him back because I don't think Jeremy Renner worked as well as Matt Damon, and maybe have an actual transition where it's worked into the storyline. Okay, and let's read a little bit into this article. What are you looking up on your phone?
If they did bring him back or not.
Oh, okay.
After briefly exiting the studio, Jason Bourne is making Universal his permanent home. NBC Universal announced today that it has acquired all rights, excluding publishing, to Robert Ludlum's popular Jason Bourne and Treadstone book series in perpetuity. As the studio notes, the deal fortifies the future of the Bourne franchise across the NBC Universal arms and will pave the way for new installments of Ludlum's beloved character and the spy world he inhabits. The move follows the exit of the screen rights in March, when WME began shopping the rights to the spy franchise and the rest of Robert Ludlum's library on behalf of the late author's estate.
Okay, and while you look that up, maybe I'll talk a little bit. There's quite a few of these spy thriller properties. You have this, you have 007, you have Mission Impossible as well. A lot of these are looking for new characters to kind of take over these franchises, and a lot of the people that are being rumored just, I don't think, fit the role, especially for the 007, the actor they were talking about. I just didn't think doesn't fit. I think Tom Hardy or even a Idris Elba would have been good in a 007 role. But that being said, they're starting to age out. So I think studios are looking for a reset with a very young actor that they can keep in that role for quite a bit of time. They don't just want to get 2 or 3 episodes out of them or movie franchises out of them. I think that goes for whoever takes Mission Impossible over from Tom Cruise. Although I think Mission Impossible will have a long break before they try to reset that series. As far as Jason Bourne goes, I think it's the easiest series of the 3 to kind of reset. There's the least amount of pressure. It's a lot less established than 007 or Mission Impossible. So just find the right actor, not necessarily the youngest actor. Grab somebody with some star power. The problem is most of these stars that do have star power are really starting to age out. Hollywood has failed to make young stars, and the ones they do not have real masculinity. They're very feminine in nature.
And don't make it a female either.
Yeah, if you make any of those franchises, if they make it a female, that's a guaranteed failure.
Mm-hmm. And with Jeremy Renner, he came back as Aaron Cross for the Bourne Legacy, I believe it's called. And then Matt Damon came back for one more.
That's what I thought.
Within the, as Bourne.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure of that.
2016.
So they kind of realized Jeremy Renner didn't work. I mean, Matt Damon's still young enough he can do it.
Is he?
Huh?
I don't think he is.
He's younger than Tom Cruise.
But he look like he's graying a little.
Yeah, but they can youth him up a little bit there, give him some child's blood.
Say that.
That's what they do in Hollywood, I'm telling you.
He's 54.
54, yeah, you can do it. They got Liam Neeson going after his kidnapped daughter. God.
Yes.
Liam Neeson really extended. Oh, and they had Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. That was crazy. They can get a couple more episodes out of Matt Damon, and they should just pay. They're going to have to pay him an incredible amount because I don't know if he really wants to do the series anymore. That being said, they need to use those last few episodes they have to transition somebody else into the storyline and really hand the franchise off rather than just all of a sudden having a new actor in the role. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go into this Home Alone. And I used to love Home Alone, and I got a little bit of thoughts about this.
From Variety, Home Alone director says a reboot is a mistake and the movies should be left alone. You can't really recapture them.
Okay, and Home Alone director is Christopher Columbus, not the man that discovered America, but the man that made a series of absolute mega hits in the 80s, such as Home Alone and Goonies. I mean, I can go on and on. Let's read a little bit about this.
And then he came out and said that he wanted to erase Trump from one of the movies.
Yeah.
As the original...
that was Home Alone 3.
2.
3.
Okay.
I believe. Because there's a scene in the Trump Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of controversy how Trump got into the movie. Anyway, they did cut him out in the Canadian version, which is absolutely nuts. And he wonders why Canada's having trouble getting a tariff deal. Maybe it's because they cut him out of Home Alone.
As the original Home Alone movie gears up to celebrate its 35th anniversary, feel old, this November, director...
Oh my God, I remember... Oh my, that came out when I was alive and I was old enough to remember it.
Director Chris Columbus is speaking out against remaking or rebooting his classic Christmas comedy. Chatting with Entertainment Tonight, Columbus said a Home Alone reboot would be a big mistake. The 1990 classic starred Macaulay Culkin as Kevin McAllister, an 8-year-old boy who must fend off a pair of robbers when his family accidentally leaves him home during Christmas vacation.
Okay, and let's pause it there for a second. I think it would be a mistake to make the movie at this point, but I think there's going to be a time and a place to really remake this movie, and it could be huge. As AI kind of comes... Oh, sorry, what did you say?
They've already remade it like 8 different times.
They made it...
A few years ago, they remade it.
Yeah, they've remade it a few times. Three times, I believe, maybe 4.
No, but there was a newer one that just came out recently that was really bad.
Yeah, well, they're just trying to cash in at this point. But if they just give it a break for a while, let AI come in where there's going to be a plethora of AI movies, I think the market's really going to be flooded. And then come back, because Home Alone's typically filmed in one location. I had to actually remember watching the making of Home Alone. They built the house in an actual warehouse so they would have complete control over the lighting and sets. But to make a practical movie in the era of AI on the cheap, which has one location, and just find the right actors, because really it's the set and the actors that are going to make this movie. So obviously whoever the cast is, the kid is going to be extremely important. I would almost remake the original Home Alone after they give it a huge break and AI really starts to storm Hollywood, and then you're going to have to really focus in on casting that kid. And once they cast that kid properly, if they get it right on the recasting, they can make a series of movies.
But they've already, number one, there was this big social media anger when they revealed that the Home Alone house had been completely remodeled and it looked horrible now. It doesn't have the banister or the staircase. But then, okay, here's a Home Alone.
Wait, what are you talking about?
The house, the iconic house?
Yeah, but they didn't film in the house. They filmed in the studio where they rebuilt that house, actually.
Yes, but some of the exterior and some of the internal shots were filmed at the house. But I'm saying the internet got really angry because they made it into this modern catastrophe. But here's a Home Alone franchise for everybody that doesn't know. So the first one was Home Alone. Then Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. So it was the 2.
Yeah, and I didn't mind New York. It wasn't great. Obviously, nothing's going to stand up to the first one. The first one is like Die Hard with Bruce Willis, and it became a Christmas classic.
Hold on. So Home Alone 2 is Lost in New York. Then they changed the kid. Why do I always forget his name?
Macaulay Culkin.
Thank you. Then they changed out Macaulay Culkin
How dare you.
Home Alone 3, then Home Alone 4, then Home Alone The Holiday Heist, and then the newest one is Home Sweet Home Alone, which was a horrible one. So, I mean, they have remade it a bunch of times. I don't know what this man is talking about.
What?
He's saying that they shouldn't reboot it. They keep rebooting it.
No, they don't keep rebooting. They just keep making another in the series. They need a whole system reboot, but they obviously need to give it a break and let people really crave it. And then they're going to have to put a lot of time and effort into making it good. Every movie after the original was just a cash-in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And bad.
Okay, we can go into The Running Man, and The Running Man's been delayed. I absolutely loved the original series. I know a lot of people on independent social media are hyped about this movie. I don't really know what to think. I loved Arnold in that role. I will go see this I don't have extremely high expectations because I love the original so much. I don't know if they're going to do a good job remaking it.
From Variety, The Running Man delays November release date by 1 week. Just 1 week. Paramount Pictures has delayed the release of The Running Man by 1 week to November 14th. It was previously scheduled for November 7th. Glenn Powell stars in Edgar Wright's remake as a lead of the sci-fi action film based on the 1982.
And I believe they were delaying this a week because there was big competition on the week coming out. We'll see if this article goes into it. I was reading a couple other articles about this morning as well.
Based on the 1982 novel by Stephen King, The Running Man takes place in a dystopian society where contestants on a game show called Runners are pit against murderers, enders, or hunters. The film's official synopsis.
Okay, let's go down.
I'm trying to know the synopsis. Why it was delayed. Who knows?
Keep going down. Is there any?
No, that's the other news.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Well, yeah, I heard it was delayed because there was big other pictures out. I thought this article would have it. I can't remember what other things were coming out. It's probably on the November or the October 31st weekend. I'm guessing if it's that weekend, then it's going to have to be major horror films. Probably maybe the new Conjuring. I would assume the new Conjuring, or I think the new Conjuring coming out next week. But at Halloween, you're going to have a lot of horror competition. So waiting a week is probably a good idea.
But it was already past Halloween because it was November 7th and they moved it to the 14th. So that's after Halloween.
Yeah, but the Halloween weekend, you have to understand the Halloween weekend would be that weekend.
Okay.
So.
And Rafa, I have no idea what Running Man is. So Rafa asks, have you seen Naked Gun and Freakier Friday? No, I keep trying to get him to go.
No. We did try to go see Freakier Friday on Tuesday. I told her don't buy the tickets. The box office was so horrible. And then 5 hours before we were supposed to go, I said, okay, buy the tickets now. Completely sold out at 8 different theaters around Mexico City. So we didn't have a chance to see it. And then Thursday, she had to finish editing the video.
Yeah.
Because
yesterday, the Spanish
one.
And now I got to do the English one.
Yeah. And surprisingly, she did get it done, but gas prices in Mexico City still aren't 10 pesos a gallon.
You're very funny. You and Rafa are very funny. But it was done. And then, we might try to go.
She's gonna force me to go, I'm sure. Naked Gun, no, it doesn't really appeal to me too much.
But should we review it?
No, Naked Gun?
I don't know.
No, I'm not gonna. Okay.
Rafa says, Naked Gun is awesome. I hated Freakier Friday, but my wife loved it. I guess it's a girl's movie. It is a girl's movie. And
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's doing horrible in the American box office because of supposedly there's a lot of woke inserts. There's a lot of woke stuff in it. But that being said, for an international audience, it is going to appeal to the LGBTQ community as well as mother and daughters. So that's a big enough audience on an international scale where woke politics doesn't really have as big of an impact on a lot of films.
And Rafa, let us know if there is a lot of woke stuff in Freakier Friday. And then he says Naked Gun is awesome.
But I just don't want to watch comedies. I don't like to go to the big screen to watch comedies too often. It would have to be something very special for me to go watch a comedy.
You watched Lilo and Stitch.
That's because of you. Cried. That's because we reviewed the movie and then you wanted to go see it and then you started bawling in the theater like everybody else.
You were also almost.
I was not bawling.
Almost.
I wasn't even crying. I didn't shed a tear.
Rafa says, the only woke thing I saw was a couple of gay flags. Besides that, I didn't notice anything else. Yeah, I think they toned it down quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, they might have taken it out, but putting gay flags in the film and then having Jamie Lee Curtis in the media just saying a bunch of crazy political things isn't going to help that movie, at least in an American context. On an international context, a lot of that news isn't going to break outside of the U.S., so it should be able to do fine. Although it was only we reported on a $43 million budget for Freakier Friday. The problem was it had to have a huge marketing budget because I've been seeing that thing absolutely everywhere. So I'm expecting at least an equal marketing budget, which would make it another $45 million, a $90 million movie. And it hasn't been doing good at domestic box offices, domestic being the U.S. Internationally, I haven't had a chance to see what it's made yet.
And I think it might also probably do better on streaming on Disney+.
It would do fantastic on streaming. Mm-hmm. I thought it was, when we originally talked about the movie, I said, man, that's perfect for straight to streaming. I look at that movie similar to like a Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore, I don't think she'd go into theaters, but perfect for streaming audiences. And that those actors have built-in fan bases that will go watch it on streaming.
But it also does say a lot that Lindsay is finally has an actual movie in theaters. Yeah. I don't know. I support her recovery journey. From Variety, YouTube launches AI age verification in US, which will automatically restrict users estimated to be under 18.
Yeah, and we talked about this. They're using AI based upon your selections of videos you watch. If they think you're under 18, they're going to ban a lot of content from you. This is a little bit crazy. It's also going to affect content creators to make their content for maybe all ages. They want to appeal to the largest audience. Let's read a little bit into this, but especially with Trump in office, I'm kind of surprised they're doing something like this, because the Trump administration has spoken out so hardly against the UK and the EU. And now that American companies are doing this, it's showing that the UK and EU laws are actually affecting these American companies. They're wanting to appeal to those markets as much as possible. Let's go into this a little bit.
Are you a kid watching YouTube? The Google-owned platform is testing technology in the US that can predict if you're under 18 and automatically add certain restrictions to your account. YouTube says the move is aimed at providing better protections for younger users. On Wednesday, it began rolling out an age estimation model in the US that uses AI to determine if someone is under 18 regardless of the birthday they've entered into their account.
Yeah, and this has a lot of undertones about censorship in the EU and the UK, kind of like what I said. And with the Grand Theft Auto video game on the chopping block, because it's the headquarters is within the UK, they kind of waited till that game is just about ready for release, and now they're threatening to ban it on all platforms, saying it's inappropriate, not just for minors, but for all ages. If they can set the example with the biggest video game property, all other video game manufacturers will kind of fall in line. So I see YouTube really trying to censor themselves and get ready for age verification rather than be banned from certain regions. They're really focusing in also on Google and Facebook in the EU and the UK. They're focusing on a lot of American platforms. The American government really needs to step up here and stand up for free speech and American companies.
I mean, it's terrifying, but it must be pretty easy on YouTube, because you just, you ban anybody watching playthroughs of Roblox and Fortnite, and there you go. Because if they watch my YouTube, it's clear that I'm an adult. I watch either cooking videos or stuff about like economics or documentaries or podcasts.
But they're also they obviously already use an algorithm to shuffle you different ways or have recommendations. But once they get this AI worked out with this 18 and under crowd, that they're going to have AIs for adults so they can funnel people in the directions that they really want. And especially with the emergence of mainstream media going into YouTube, there are future censorship undertones here that I'm very wary of. Okay, we can go into...
I was going to read this part.
Okay.
If YouTube's AI-based system calculates that someone is likely less than 18 years old, it will place restrictions on and add other account security measures to the account. According to YouTube, users will have the option to verify your age through government ID, selfie, or credit card if you believe our age estimation model is incorrect.
Okay.
So, yeah, use your ID. Rafa says, the interview between Lindsay Lohan and Cristina Hernandez, her Spanish voice actress, was awesome. Oh, I want to watch it.
She'll be watching it after we get off of YouTube here. Okay, here we go with The Conjuring. And yeah, it is coming out this weekend, I believe.
From Deadline, The Conjuring Last Rites heading for $35 million US opening at box office.
Okay, and let's read about this. I'm going to be interested in the budget. Most horror movies have a lower budget. If it does make $35 million in the opening week, and this is huge for a horror movie because horror movies are typically done on the cheap. Also, The Conjuring hasn't had a huge marketing budget, not like Freaky or Friday, where it's a lower budget movie with a big marketing budget. So if it's able to hit big box office numbers for the first couple of weeks, it's not only made its money back, it's going to make this movie extremely profitable. There's been a series of movies that are horror that have done absolutely bonkers lately, such as Final Destination, Bloodline, and a few others. So let's go into this.
Sorry, Rafa first says Nat's reading voice sounds fancier lately. That's because I realized I wasn't.
I replaced her with an AI.
No, I realized sometimes when I was reading, I couldn't even understand myself because I was going too fast. So I am trying to, at least when I read.
Enunciate?
Enunciate. And now
I should do that when I talk.
Yeah. And Rafael also says that face is creepy. I'm going to have nightmares now. Thanks. Yes, me too. And I hadn't realized until now. Sorry. September won't be a massive tentpole a la last year's Beetlejuice, which opened to 111 million, but we'll have at least something in Newland's finale, The Conjuring Last Rites. The horror pick is 3-week tracking Thursday morning, 35 to 40 million ahead of its September 5th bow. Warner Brothers has largely owned the post-Labor Day box office frame with a big scary movie since debuting It Chapter 1 to the world with 123.4 million back in 2017. It remains September's biggest opening ever.
Yeah, and this is kind of a good time to release it. It's not right around Halloween, which you would expect a movie like this to come out, but there's so much competition around Halloween for horror movies. Releasing a little bit early when there's nothing really else on the market is perfect timing for this movie.
Do you want me to keep reading?
You can read a little bit more. If you do see the budget, let's talk about that.
I'm looking for it. No.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, we can kind of move on. Yeah, I do like the timing for this movie. I do think it will do good. A lot better than Megan 2 did. Okay, and here we go with James Gunn and Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie's huge lately. This would be a big pickup for DC, even though I don't necessarily like her in the role that much. I think they do need star power for these things, and they're not a lot of stars these days.
From Variety, James Gunn says Margot Robbie's future as Harley Quinn in the new DC universe will be revealed down the line. Oh, more scary stuff for Rafa. James Gunn is keeping the future of Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn in his new DC universe vague. In a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, Gunn was asked if Robbie would return to play the deadly, wisecracking anti-hero in future DC projects. The Superman director
does it seem like
kept his
using her
brief.
for these feminist roles?
Well, she has her own production company where she's pumping out a lot of this feminist drivel.
Like Barbie, and then this appeals to wokesters, and let's go a little bit into it. Not that necessarily all DC is woke, because it's not, but this specific role with the color hair, the punk rock attitude from a female girl boss.
Well, Harley Quinn's future in the DC universe is anyone's guess. Gunn made it clear that he wants to see the return of another Ending Squad member, Idris Elba's Bloodsport. I definitely am always looking for a place to put Bloodsport and figuring that out, he said. So we'll see what happens. Robbie played the Joker's...
This is Idris Elba? Is supposed to be in a movie called Bloodsport?
No, Idris Elba is Bloodsport.
Okay. Sorry, every time I think of Bloodsport, I think of the Bloodsport movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme from my childhood, which is absolutely massive. I think that could possibly hurt that movie in general, because when you search up Bloodsport, I would expect the 80s movie to come up. It's one of the all-time classic 80s action movies. I absolutely love that thing. I do like Idris Elba, though, overall, so I will go watch most things he's in. I would say he's the new Denzel Washington, but I think he's almost the same age as Denzel Washington. His career he came up much later in life.
And with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, I don't know how much fans really like her, because not that many people liked Suicide Squad that I can think of.
Well, they ruined Suicide Squad. They need to try to reset the movie or do something.
So. But I will admit she was better than Lady Gaga.
Oh, yeah.
So at least I preferred this version of Harley Quinn, but Margot Robbie is incredibly annoying as a person. So, but she's pretty.
Oh, you think Margot Robbie? I don't watch.
I think she's really annoying. I think she's really pretty, but she's really annoying.
I only seen a couple interviews. I liked her. I thought she was fine, but I just don't like any of the movies she's in. So,
and I mean, Barbie could have been great if they had just used her as actual Barbie and just make her Barbie and not feminist.
Yeah, I mean, she's hot, but the role selection she does is just not good. She did a bunch of movies.
Well, before she was doing good ones like Wolf of Wall Street and other ones. She was great at that.
She had a few good.
But then she turned feminist. Yeah.
Not just feminist. She started doing stuff like crappy movies with Will Smith and some other roles where I just wasn't interested. Yeah, there was a time that she was doing really good roles that were well scripted movies overall. Yeah. Okay, let's go into trans athletes, and I know this is a favorite topic of yours. Let's go.
You just scared half the people when you clapped because that was loud. From Fox News, trans athlete sues university and college sports.
Half the people would be too.
No, we have 4. So
I'm one of them.
You scared me, so that's 2 at least. Trans athlete sues university and college sports organization after losing women's sports volleyball scholarship. Emma Morquecho, I guess, claims Westcliff University and NAIA discriminated based on gender eligibility rules.
Okay, and would you have any thoughts or opinions? You should have thoughts and opinions because this is all you used to report on.
I mean, this person can try to sue the university as much as they want, but in the end, Title now has now been restored, and now there's rules that universities have to abide by. So.
And also, scholarships are a privilege, not a right or guarantee.
Mm-hmm. So. And also, if you have a biological advantage over the females you're competing against for the scholarship, maybe you shouldn't get it. It says if you were doping and then you got a scholarship for it.
Well, and this is happening in the U.S., so I think very little will happen. If this was happening in Canada, yeah, she would be guaranteed to win this thing. We actually have another story about Canada and trans rights coming up later, and that's the Nexus Pass at the border. Because the U.S. changed their policy, it forced Canada into changing their policy, and the media and the Canadian government are just flipping their wigs. It's going to be on tonight's political show. Okay, let's keep going with this story, though.
Biological male transgender volleyball player Emma Morquecho is suing Westcliff University and the National, an alternate college sports governing body to the NCAA after claiming a scholarship offer was revoked and eligibility denied. The lawsuit was announced by the civil organization Mexican American League Defense and Educational Fund.
Yeah.
She's Mexican?
There's a ton of most of the trans athletes
but they're going through
are now, okay.
They're going to this, I'm guessing, on race as well. The Latino community.
Yeah, no, this is she's claiming racism now. And I think that's more where her lawsuit is going to have some strength because race discrimination laws and things like that. So she has to work that into this lawsuit. Yeah.
The Latino community is often the first to be targeted under practices of irrational discrimination, and this case falls within that pattern, said MALDEF President and General Counsel Thomas A. Saenz in a statement. Discrimination based on stereotype and false assumption against trans athletes must end, especially in California, where so many of those harmed will be members of the state's largest racial ethnic community.
Yeah,
I hate it when they try to mix.
They should have just changed the policy at the school that only females can compete in female sports and males in male sports, and then maybe let her just keep, or maybe let him keep his scholarship, but not let them play on the team. That way, it wouldn't have made a bunch of headlines. But
if they keep him playing on the team, then that's not fair for the rest of the females.
What did I just say?
That they should have let him not have the scholarship but play on the team.
No,
okay,
that's not what I said. I said. Change the rules that men play with men, women play with women, and not let him play on the team, but let them keep the scholarship. That way that way they have leverage if they do want to bring a lawsuit, say, we'll just revoke your scholarship. And that way it wouldn't have made a bunch of headlines. So.
But yeah, now they're trying to do this. Fox News Digital has reached out to Westcliff University and the NAIA for comment. The lawsuit alleged Morquecho disclosed the athlete's birth gender to university officials in 2022 and later received a scholarship offer because he did that.
Of course, it's in California.
Morquecho alleges on August 10th, 2023, the head coach of the Westcliff women's volleyball team sent an email back saying the athlete was not eligible to play that fall and that Westcliff revoked the scholarship.
Yeah. Okay, we can go into the next story here.
Oh, do you want me to read the comment that this person said?
Oops. Yeah.
So he said, by taking a stand, I'm not just fighting for myself and speaking for every trans person who has been silenced, and I hope my voice empowers others in our community to know their stories and their rights matter.
Yeah, and I think Trump has a tendency, or the Trump administration has a tendency to zero in on specific cases that I think they're going to get good headlines on. Gavin Newsom is really starting to become a thorn in the side of the new administration. This is happening in California. Newsom has been trying to distance himself from males and female sports, trying to say that he's not for it. That being said, if the Trump administration can make this an issue, this can become a thorn in the side of Newsom rather than Newsom being a thorn in the side of the administration.
And it annoys me that they're trying to mix again the intersectionality of trans and Latino community.
Well, it's because
believe me, the Latino community isn't very happy with.
Well, no, community. But when they're filing lawsuits, race discrimination, it's much easier to prove, and they want to use that as the tip of the spear to kind of legitimize the case.
So about Paramount. From Deadline, Paramount layoffs will be painful, but one and done. Jeff Shell promises. David Ellison keeps timeline private for now.
So yeah, they're not talking about how many layoffs they're going to have. They're going to have a massive amount of layoffs, and they need it. Like, you don't need this many people to do what they're doing, especially with AI coming. They're going to have much more goal-focused teams, I think. That being said, they're going to do it with one big section of layoffs all at once, rather than how Disney's doing it, a few thousand, another 10,000. It makes headlines over and over and over again. This is the best way. Just cut the cord one time. Right now, they're trying to probably figure out exactly where to make the cuts. They're going to have to make cuts because they're making all the right moves. They're making the right moves in their movies and their properties, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But they just paid $1.1 billion a year, over $7 billion for a... $7.9 billion for a 7-year contract for the UFC. That was a massive pickup, but that when you're spending that amount of money on your movies and on your sports properties, you're going to really have to run a lean ship. It's very good that they picked up the UFC for that amount of money, because Paramount used to actually run Strikeforce and another boxing promotion, but when they ran those promotions, they were involved in the production a lot. The fact that they paid UFC so much, UFC takes care of everything. They're their own production company, so Paramount doesn't have to do a lot. They simply buy the rights to it, and now they can broadcast it. They guaranteed a massive property that's done right from an independent production company, so they don't have to spend resources and people to do that, especially when they're trying to cut costs.
Well, they're paying that 7 point whatever billion over the years, right?
Oh, yeah.
One per year.
It's a backloaded contract. So they start out with, I believe it was around $700 million for the first year. Second year goes to $800 million, then $900 million, then it goes into the billions. But it's backloaded, so they can really start to get traction before they have to make the big payouts.
I mean, this is easy. Just cut the HR department, cut the diversity and inclusion office,
keep your
anybody woke.
Keep your creative talent and your workhorses. Cut the top leadership. They do have the guy that David Ellison that's running the company now has been making boss moves. Every other studio is trying to fire all their DEI hires and put other people in there and figure out what to do. This guy is just making correct move after correct move. The UFC alone is massive for Paramount. I can't explain how big that is. A lot of people think UFC and think, oh yeah, it's big, not that big. It will one day be the biggest sport in the world. It will rival soccer. And if you look at their projections and how they were ultimately planning to expand the UFC, they're right on target, and they're planning to compete with soccer one day. I think within the next 10 years, you're going to see that, especially when you have country versus country.
Looking to save $2 billion and having handed out more than $9 billion to UFC and South Park guys in the last 2 days, 2 weeks. Everybody knows that David Ellison's Paramount is going to have to make some deep cuts.
Yeah, and they picked up South Park. So they picked up South Park, the UFC. It's good that South Park is kind of going after the Trump administration in their jokes, because Paramount is making a huge cultural shift back to the center and somewhat conservative on a lot of their properties, but that even have South Park on there, but kind of poking fun at the administration, they can say, oh, we're playing both sides. Everything Paramount is doing right now, it's just... I've been really impressed, and that was coming after a lot of, let's say after the last 2 or 3 years, I was wondering if they were going to go bankrupt or they were going to get bought by another company. Now they're emerging as a major player, not just in the live sports casting industry, but in big movie properties. Let's go into the next story, and it's going to be right along the lines of Paramount. Actually, the next 2 stories are.
From Variety, Landman Season 2 gets fall premiere date on Paramount.
Again, Paramount Plus. This is a huge conservative property, I would say. This is a series. They have a ton of series like this on Paramount Plus, which is great. But then they also have their sports properties. And on the next article, we're going to go into their major movie property releases, and all those are big as well. Let's read just a tiny bit about this, and then we're going to go into their movie property releases and the investments they're making on that end.
The Landman is back. Billy Bob Thornton returns as West Texas's favorite oil fixer in season 2 of Landman, debuting on Paramount Plus on November 16th.
And this is a really spectacular role for Billy Bob Thornton. He fit it perfectly. And also they had the one, oh God, why can't I think of it? The show with Kevin Costner. He's not in it anymore though. Where they had a ranch.
I know. I'm trying to think.
You're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like
no, I'm not looking. I'm
like
looking at you like I'm trying to. It's not a movie. It's a series.
Yeah, it's a series. Anyway, picking these conservative, having these conservative, I would say, series that focus. These conservative series where they get really a big name actor that fits the role well, and then they orient everything around that has worked very well for them. They kind of know the equation for their series. Let's go into the Yellowstone, yeah. They've made too many spin-offs of that, but that being said, their original was fantastic. Now let's go into their movies.
Taylor.
No, let's go into the next article.
Sorry. From Variety, Stranger Things creators Matt and Ross Duffer negotiating Netflix exit for massive Paramount overall deal.
Okay, the next article after this was, read the headline again.
Stranger Things creators Matt and Ross Duffer negotiating Netflix exit for massive Paramount overall deal.
Again, Paramount just picking apart just the parts they want of other studios. This is big. Stranger Things was a huge series and it really hit that 80s vibe. So if these guys can hit different eras and vibes for different series, this would be absolutely huge for Paramount. Again, Paramount is picking up the creative talents. They're cutting off the parts of their company they don't need, probably like the HR department and some of the higher management. And they are just spending the money in all the right places now. I like the future of Paramount, Paramount Plus, and CBS. Paramount is the first company where their major free television station, which would be CBS, their broadcasting television station, is actually, things are looking up. Well, every other broadcasting station is kind of dying because it's an old form of media and everybody's going online. CBS is kind of revitalizing themselves with a lot of live sports properties. Let's read a little bit about this and see if they're going to actually bring Stranger Things over there or just the directors to do something new and original.
No, Stranger Things has ended.
Okay.
I thought it was ending.
They could reset it or any number of things.
In Hollywood's cutthroat deal-making ecosystem, stranger things often happen, like Matt and Ross Duffer moving from Netflix for a rich new overall deal at Paramount. The Duffer brothers, creators of Netflix juggernaut Stranger Things, are in advanced negotiations to exclusively create film and television with an emphasis on tentpole movies at the legacy studio just taken over by David Ellison's Skydance. The move would reunite the Duffers with Cindy Holland, Paramount's new head of streaming, who greenlit Stranger Things at Netflix. The pair would also work with Josh Greenstein and Dana Goldberg, who share film and series creative duties.
Yeah, so they're looking for high budget movies to make on streaming. So good move. They maybe want to move away from TV series. I'd like them to see them do another TV series, but that will eat up a lot of their time. So maybe movies are the best direction, and it's kind of a natural progression for them. Okay, let's go into Paramount again.
From The Hollywood Reporter, David Ellison shows off his new throne at Paramount with Top Gun 3, Star Trek, and World War Z called Priorities. Ellison and his top executives hosted a meet and greet with journalists on the storied Melrose lot Wednesday to further discuss their plans for Paramount Pictures and the TV side of the aisle.
Yeah, and this is going to be big. They're making a cultural shift here. They're definitely going away from woke, and they're making really just good, solid movies and scripts. Go back to the top if you can for a minute. No, go. Yep. So they have Top Gun 3, which Top Gun just came out. Huge success. Star Trek has been killed by woke over the last decade. So the fact that they can reset this and really reset the property, if anybody can do, Paramount can probably do it. So if they can do that, that is going to be a cash cow for decades. They need to invest a lot of money up front and make sure they have the right script writers and make sure nobody comes out and makes political statements outside of filming. And then World War Z was a big property with Brad Pitt before. It has potential, so we'll have to see what they do with it. But as long as they stay away from progressive woke content, which they seem to be doing, and just hire good scriptwriters. I mean, they're cutting the fat from their company, keeping the people that really mean the most. And if they can pull off these 3 big properties, it's going to mean a lot more big films. Same thing with the UFC. If the UFC is a huge success for them, they're going to buy a lot more sports properties on the back of that. And the last article we just covered with the Duffer brothers, if they're successful in their first couple of outings, a lot more money can be invested in them. So they have these big investment trial balloons in almost every segment that they're involved in, and they want to see where to invest future money, I think. Let's read a little bit about it.
On Wednesday, Ellison, the ambitious and introspective son of tech billionaire Larry Ellison, showed off his new throne, metaphorically speaking, when hosting a meet and greet for journalists. The gathering of he and his C-suite followed a similar event in New York held August 7th, the day the $8 billion merger officially closed.
Yeah, and keep his sisters out of the decision-making. They have absolutely blown a bunch of money and failed at everything they've done, where the son has really gone more of a Main Street or even somewhat of a conservative-leaning route when they invest their money, and he is doing wonders. Like, there's nobody in the industry that's really competing with Paramount right now. Even Netflix keeps making strange decisions at times, which I'm really questioning. Why didn't they spend more money to try to pick up the UFC? Why are they investing in woke properties when obviously woke's dying? Invest in kids content that's family values and things of this nature. I mean, the equation is simple. There's only one guy actually implementing the simple equation in Hollywood right now.
At the event, Ellison called Top Gun 3, the sequel to the $1.5 billion grosser Top Gun Maverick, a top priority at the studio, and said he would be in the Tom Cruise business as long as the A-list star, with whom he has made 10 films in Ellison's former life at Skydance, wanted to tell stories with him.
Yeah, and this is good. Tom Cruise likes to do big tentpole movies, and that's somewhat of a problem. He wanted to do F1. He couldn't sell it to any studio because the budget was going to be too high. That being said, even if a Tom Cruise movie fails, but it can almost make back its money or make back its money, it really makes a statement within the industry. So it's not always about making a huge profit. Sometimes just if you can break even, but sit things out there within the industry that other people aren't doing, it's good enough. Okay, let's go into PBS.
From Deadline, PBS to cut by 21% following public media's loss of federal funding.
Yeah, and this is what I thought would happen with all these people that had billions of dollars in federal funding. People don't realize these companies were getting billions of dollars. It's the same in Canada. CBS gets over $1 billion a year just for their news broadcasting, which is an absolute crazy amount of money. When it was first announced, Trump was cutting off the federal funding to NPR and PBS. NPR said they're going to go bankrupt. They're going out of business. I looked at their YouTube. They had like 14 million followers or something, an insane amount. You've been collecting billions of dollars for years. Why didn't you invest in your content and have a loyal following? So once that funding gets cut off, you should be able to maintain yourself and sell to advertisers and everything else. They've been collecting billions of dollars for a year. The fact that they can't make a successful product or they can stand on their own 2 feet, all the upfront money had already been given to them to make a solid company, yet they failed to do that.
And they went completely woke and ideological and biased, and it's supposed to be, a public broadcast and service, and they were just catering to one side and also giving too much bias and ideological opinions and ideological drivel.
Yeah, well, I'll agree with that. They did go completely woke. The thing was, if they wanted those billions of dollars in funding, it was contingent on being woke. So I can understand if they were corrupt and they just wanted that money, fine. But they needed to look at the long-term vision. They needed to establish themselves for the day that money was going to get cut off. Meaning they just needed to they can make their woke content, make half their content woke, and then make the other half just for a mainstream audience that it was non-political, not necessarily conservative. And once the money got cut off, they would be able to stand on their own 2 feet. Also, when you make mainstream content that has no political leaning or ideology, if you do want to sell that propaganda, it helps you look like more of a fair and balanced voice. All along, they should have been making more balanced content to go along with their woke dribble.
And also, if you're interested in PBS and why it got the way it got, Dad Saves America, who also worked in the industry, has a very interesting video about it. So I recommend watching that one as well.
And let's read a little bit more. And I'm going to be interested to see if NPR goes out of business. They already claimed that once the funding was cut off, we're going to have to go out of business. I have a feeling they have enough of a base where they're going to be able to continue, just not continue at the level they were before. They're going to have to make major cuts and run with a skeleton crew.
Paula Kerger.
Oh, there's that series we wanted to watch that we never watched.
Paula Kerger, president and CEO of PBS, informed station general managers Wednesday of the planned cuts. The overall pool of station duties will be reduced by $35 million, she said. Local outlets are grappling with their own budget holes given the loss of federal support. As Congress considered legislation to rescind the $1.1 billion in funding already allocated to stations, NPR and PBS, Kerger warned of severe cuts. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting, set up by Congress in the 1960s to distribute federal funding grants, announced it would be shutting down by the end of the year. The New York Times first reported on the PBS cuts.
Yeah. So we'll keep up with that as it goes along. Do these companies actually go under? How do they manage to survive? I have a feeling they're going to survive, and they just want to survive Trump so they can get their funding back. Okay, let's go into the last story of the day. And maybe you know more about this than I do. I don't know a lot about the story. I was trying to read about it beforehand. I didn't understand it too well. And I also have a bias of opinion here, but...
I mean, there's a normal opinion and then there's a disgusting one.
Well, that's what they want you to always think.
Mm-hmm.
And with this story, I actually think it's legitimate in the way that it's being presented. But a lot of times when stories are presented on protecting children, they're really wanting to bring censorship laws and strip freedoms from the general public in the name of child safety, at least when the government gets involved. Okay,
From Variety, Roblox sued by state of Louisiana, which alleges platform facilitates disgusting things of kids.
Okay, let's read the whole article or most of it so I can try to understand this.
Online gaming platform Roblox has faced criticism for years that it doesn't do enough to protect children using its platform. Now, Louisiana's Attorney General is suing the company, alleging, among other things, that it has and continues to facilitate the distribution of disgusting child material and disgusting things of children.
Yeah, and I don't have any doubt that maybe this is going on, but I'm also thinking in the long term, they're going to want to bring digital IDs and face scanning into this thing, especially when it's the state or federal government suing a private company. This is going to put the fear into a lot of other private companies that we need to implement digital IDs, face scanning, much like YouTube is trying to do right now. That was one of our first stories today. So I'm just very wary when the government puts these lawsuits out to private individual or private companies and the kinds of freedoms that will be stripped and the implemented digital ID. I think the biggest two threats to freedom right now are digital ID and digital currency. And stories like this have a lot to do with it. Let's continue here.
Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill filed the lawsuit Thursday in state court. The suit alleges that Roblox knowingly and intentionally fails to implement basic safety controls to protect child users from disgusting people and fails to provide notice to parents and child users of its dangers. And this is also coming, and I spoke about this on WDW Pro yesterday.
Thanks for having
Thank you so much, yes, to WDW Pro and Park Place and everybody over there. But yesterday we spoke about the fact that Roblox is denying that and trying to, censor and take out people that are trying to fight against the disgusting people within the game. And they have actually caught about 6 of these disgusting people through the tactics of vigilantes.
Yeah, when I was reading this, there was a minor or a young person that was really kind of gathering evidence and calling the police against PDF files on the platform, and arrests were being made, and then he was canceled off of the platform. Yes, that is completely legitimate, and you want to see the PDF files get off of there, especially when it's an individual user like that giving evidence to the police and the police coming after him. The problem is Roblox seems to be protecting
the disgusting people.
Yeah.
And trying to censor the people that are doing something about it.
If they're forced to go the other way because they've gone so far protecting PDF files, they may implement major digital IDs, face scans, and if they do that, that's going to set precedents for a lot of other people online. We're seeing a lot of private industry implement digital ID because the UK is requiring it. So now US companies want to get ahead of it, and they're starting to require it as well. I'm very wary of digital IDs and freedoms being stripped in the name of child protection. Protecting children is always good, but not at the cost of the general public's freedom.
Due to Roblox's lack of safety protocols, it endangers the safety of children of Louisiana, Morrell said in a statement. Roblox is overrun with harmful content and child disgusting people because it prioritizes user growth, revenue, and profits over child safety. Every parent should be aware of the clear and present danger posed to their children by Roblox so they can prevent the unthinkable from ever happening in their own home.
Yeah, and that's the big key. I really feel there needs to be a lot of onus put on the parents.
Yes.
And the government is trying to become not just the parents of your children, but the parents to the general adult citizen as well. And there needs to be more relevance and more power put in the hands of the parents. Mm-hmm. And that way you don't have to implement a digital ID and strip everybody's freedom in the name of saving humanity.
And with Roblox and really any game or anything that children consume, it is up to the parent to be aware of what their child is doing and consuming. Yes, there should not be disgusting people on these platforms. Yes, the disgusting people will go exactly where they will be able to find the children. I mean, we see this from schools to church to Disneyland.
Yeah, and also like...
But it is up to the parents in general to be... I'm surprised the parents are not aware of what their children are consuming or even know or understand how these platforms work.
And also maybe the platform can be responsible in the sense, because I'm about not having digital ID in every way, shape, or form, but we have to make suggestions and give tools so that doesn't happen. So maybe a way to turn off the chat, turn off the live chat, the voice chat on there, and making that an option. I don't know if that is an option, but
I don't know about Roblox, but I think that would take away most of the game. I think that's kind of what it is about mostly. Minecraft too.
Yeah. Then the only way to do it is digital ID, which I don't want that. That's the issue. So this is also becoming a discussion in general. A lot of people don't want digital ID, so it's up to the people that kind of don't want it to give alternative solutions to these problems. One of the alternative solutions is to empower parents and to put the onus onto the parents. And if there are other ways, I don't know yet, but hopefully people start figuring this out. Otherwise, we're going to be herded into digital IDs here. Okay, I think did you want to read any more of this?
No, we can go into it on the night show, probably on RUMBLE.
Okay.
So we can actually talk about it.
Okay, and yeah, we're done for today. Look out for our BYD video coming out in English probably tomorrow. It's going to have Xi Jinping as Winnie the Pooh on the cover.
Because you wanted that.
Yeah, because I created it.
Because you think it's funny.
Fantastic thumbnail.
Okay.
Although if the Chinese government gets wind of it, they're probably going to try to ban it, but we'll see what happens. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers, eventually 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize and make more content on this channel. We do have a secondary channel with over 10,000 subscribers, and that is Nat and the Guy in Espanol. Nat has a nightly show on there where she covers one or two topics in depth, usually political, but...
Well, no, now it's more topics than that. But today we're going to be answering questions, actually, to celebrate 10,000 subscribers. So head over there and ask us questions on our Instagram if you have any.
Yep. Okay. Adios.
Thank you, Rafa. Thank you, Rafa, for your comments, and we'll see you tonight.